All right, I'm gonna have to go.
Calling my company.
Hey,
Are you feeling any better?
crazy.
Well,
This is what it looks like.
I did swipe on a little mascara for you, but that's about as far as I got today.
Okay, well, you just keep getting better. I have to go turn on the,
She's worried about the screens. I said the screens.
I have to go turn on the stuff. For the
All
meeting.
right.
The screens aren't even on the image. Just so you know, you were worried about it not being on the screens.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Come on in, have a seat. Oh, Parks Board, get ready to turn on.
We're taking over the world. Duh.
Revolution. This is the revolution meeting.
Right.
Don't say that. We'll make you change your plat.
Like the Jonestopia one.
Oh, Holly, are you okay?
I'm yeah, I'm okay.
I don't know. Holly does that.
What do I do?
Push the button.
Oh,
Holly's bossy? Is that what Holly does?
no, you take care of everything. So Miriam was asking about the order we push the buttons in the control room.
I don't know. I have to be there. I don't know that I could. I don't know that I could talk her through it without a visual.
Anything embarrassing.
Anything embarrassing?
Yeah.
You're being recorded.
That's my whole life.
Who is the male?
Oh, Nate
Nate
from the
great.
surveyor's office.
Oh,
Is he
I
like
like
your cousin?
Nate.
Hey,
Hey.
How are you guys related?
how are you?
Oh, I'm his auntie.
Are you sick?
Yes. Yeah, but I'm a dedicated public servant, so here I am.
I'm telling everybody you're my cousin, Holly.
I like that much better because you made me feel really old.
Oh, when I said aunt,
Yes,
Okay.
we'll go with cousin.
I like cousin.
Okay, cousin, got it.
Do you suppose I was gonna pick up the teams when he gets on?
Yes.
Okay. Shall we begin?
Sure.
I'm gonna begin the meeting.
Do you have anybody else in the lobby?
Is Brandon? Or is he just walking by? He's walking by. Oh.
I have no one in the lobby. So we are also conducting a Teams meeting, and I have a disclaimer for this morning. The Teams meeting recording disclaimer says that this meeting is being recorded for transcription and archival purposes. Your active participation implies your consent to being recorded. The recording will be used for internal review and documentation. If you have any objections to being recorded, please notify us at the beginning of the meeting, which is now. Okay, so call to order. Let's go ahead and do our attendance. And I'm going to,
I
the
let him
recording
in.
came on. Okay, thank you. Great. So Miriam Morales is here.
Kayla Brooks?
Heather Van Dyke.
Holly Kinker via
Uh,
Teams.
Awesome. All right. So Travis is here, correct? Looks like he's coming in. There he is. Okay, you're actually on the agenda. No, you're not. You're on the agenda, the third one. So we need to approve the December 19th, 2024 board meeting minutes as presented. Does everyone? Yeah, all in favor? Who's going to first and second that?
I'll make a motion.
Okay. Any seconds?
Is not here.
Oh, Holly said something, but I can't hear her now. Oh, you're muted.
I said second.
Okay.
Heather first. I'm taking minutes, Miriam.
Oh, you're amazing, by the way. Thank you. Getting those signed just now.
Do we need a vote?
I'm sorry.
Do we need a vote?
We
All
did.
in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you very much. All right, Travis. We can't see you, but I guess that's okay if you want to just go over the findings from the stakeholder interviews that you conducted.
Can I ask something?
Yes, you can.
we electing officers at this meeting, or is that gonna wait?
That is on hold.
Okay.
Yes. Sorry, you didn't have the right.
Oh,
Yeah, it's been
I'm
removed.
just wondering. I
Oh,
just came
okay.
out of another meeting, so I'm on the January
Okay.
meeting.
Can you see? Okay. We're going to continue on. Hi, Travis.
Good morning again. Okay, so yeah, I think we'll obviously go in a lot more detail at the February 20th meeting that we plan to be in person for on progress made for the master plan thus far. But I think this morning we're just talking about high level overview of the most recent stakeholder engagement. But just for you all's knowledge, we are going to tie in the stakeholder engagement from the recreation needs assessment from a year and a half ago as well, because I know the commissioners were interviewed and there were several focus groups that happened during
Uh-oh.
that,
You
along with
froze.
the community survey, are still really relevant. Oh, am I there?
Yeah, you are
Can you
here.
hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Sorry about that. Just saying that we're going to use the community survey and the focus group results from the recreation needs assessment and tie that into the most recent community engagement for the overall master plan. But most recently, so as you're aware, we did the majority of the interviews before the holidays in December, did a few after the holidays here earlier this month, and there still are a few individuals that we need to connect with to interview, hopefully here in the coming weeks. But essentially, there are several themes that are coming out of the most recent engagement that I'll just provide a high level overview on this morning. So the first one, general perceptions of parks, facilities, and rec opportunities. I think most are understand the value of parks and recreation, especially within the various communities that already have established park systems. But some of the themes that came out of that was a continued focus on that question. I'm sorry, was a continued focus on trail development and connectivity. The need for better collaboration and coordination, and so the individuals that I've spoke to see the county as kind of being that conduit that connects the already established park system and systems throughout the county, especially in the incorporated areas, the specific municipalities, and really being that driver to help fill in needs or gaps throughout the county on recreation programming or space, such as open space, trails, things of that nature. As you all are aware, there are several underserved rural areas throughout the county, and so some strategies on how to simply just get started in those areas are going to be a driving factor within the master plan. What people value most about parks and recreation facilities that are currently established, a lot was discussed on safety and accessibility, those being two design principles that really need to be kept in mind as the county develops future park properties. Of course, connectivities of trails and parks, and then preservation, conservation were key themes that came up throughout the discussions. And the county does have several partnerships that are already established that could be expanded on to help with the management of programs and park spaces like that. Needed amenities and facilities and activities. So a lot was mentioned in the way of outdoor recreation, outdoor adventure, nature enrichment. Of course, again, enhancing accessibility and inclusivity with whatever is developed, and utilizing what the county has in the way of natural features and waterways. Some of the ideas that came up were, of course, the Pennsy Trail is is a big driver for development throughout the county. Oftentimes, park land opportunities come away from these rail to trail projects because people are seeking more trailhead type amenities. And so one of the unique ideas was to expand on, the paved trails and maybe create some parallel mountain bike trails in certain areas that people could get off road and enjoy more topography, especially when they're riding their bike. And then water recreation. So are there going to be opportunities to create better access points with waterways in the future for kayaking, canoeing, maybe even some pocket areas for, something like fishing programs, things of that nature. Vision for the next 10 years. So some of the key themes were, collaboration and partnerships, essentially. There's, as you're aware, the Parks Department is going to be the creation of a Parks Department is a multi-year undertaking, and there's a lot of resources already within the county that can help get things off the ground until the county is able to create a sustainable organization that can manage its own park properties. And then collaboration with developers, I think, is going to be key, especially as you're aware within the western part of the county. So are there opportunities to address parks and recreation needs with private funding in certain areas? Let's see. Challenges. As far as themes in this area were, of course, funding and staffing constraints. And so a part of our scope with the master plan is to detail, a strategy for creating an organizational structure that can be sustainable, and starting, small and growing in a smart way to make sure, you're putting the right staff in place to manage the park facilities and programming that come from this master plan. The community leadership and collaboration again, that creating that consistency with policies and standards that can be carried forward no matter, who is on the commission, who is on the council, who is in leadership positions for the county. It's going to be important to continue that momentum several years into the future. And oftentimes there is that turnover with the elected and appointed positions. And so it's going to be important to have that consistency to continue the momentum. Establishing the right type of maintenance. And I did mention policies and best practices, but looking at partnerships again on how, how maybe a volunteer program can be started. So the Pennsy Trail is a great example of how volunteers come together to help maintain certain parts of the trail. And so can that effort be expanded on to help the county with maintenance needs in the future? That's something that we'll explore throughout the rest of the master planning. And then the last one was funding ideas, and really, and this is our recommendation too, is to have as diverse of a funding base for a park system as possible. And so that comes with not only grant funding, which can be inconsistent at times, it can be a heavy administrative lift for certain grants, but partnerships with nonprofits and businesses, public-private partnerships, earned income through user fees. I think that's going to be an essential piece of the funding source. You all are already working on the impact fees, which can help with capital development, but also looking for some funding that can go towards operations too. So there's certain funding sources that would just be dedicated toward capital. There's others that could also help fund the operation of facilities and programming. And oftentimes when we talk about user fees, we look at, okay, what services are more for the overall all community benefit and what services are for more individual benefit. And those services for individual benefit typically can have a higher fee associated with them that can help cover the cost of providing that service. And so that's some of what we'll talk about with our recreation analysis and within our funding strategies is coming up with the appropriate cost recovery model for the county going forward. So I know that's a lot in a short amount of time, but I'll pause there and see if there's any questions or additional comments that I can address.
I do have a question regarding funding. Are you familiar or have you worked with anyone that has done fundraisers for the county itself? I don't know that I've ever heard of a fundraiser happening, that's been implemented by a county government. Has that been heard of?
So yeah, and it's always a challenge to raise funds for government services because there is that perception that people are already contributing to government services with their tax dollars. And so the best example I can give right now, and this is something we're gonna have more information on with the February 20th presentation, are some I guess case studies or benchmark examples of other county park systems, especially in the central Indiana area. I'll use Hendricks County parks as an example. So Hendricks County has a county park system, but there is a park foundation specifically for the county that can help raise those funds. Now in Hendricks County, that park foundation serves all park agencies throughout the county, but they have contributed significantly to county park projects and programs over the history of their organization. And they work very closely with the Hendricks County Community Foundation. So essentially the Hendricks County Community Foundation has created a fund for parks, and they've developed a partnership where there is an annual payment to the county park foundation. I guess I should say the park foundation of Hendricks County, and then they use that fund to distribute grant money to any park agency within the county that applies for specific projects and programs. And so that would be our recommendation on the best way to ensure that you maximize donor capabilities, because those individuals are giving to essentially a nonprofit and they feel more comfortable that their money is going to be designated for specifically for park projects.
Okay. When I was with Mental Health Partners of Hancock County, I was kind of the spearhead lead person to create the Ducky Derby Dash. I had my daughter create medals. She's an animator, and had a duck on a train, literally, with the number 55 for Sammy Hagar. Anyway, but we rose $10,000 on a 5K run, and we had a succession of 3 years using fundraises.com. And the last year we did it, it was just really phenomenal. We just had a lot of attendees and we rose money. So I was just like, oh, I wonder if we could do a fundraiser through the government, but I don't know how that works regarding monies, right? How
I
that
think we have
works.
to partner with a local nonprofit, like the Betsy Trail.
.org or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, that's why
Yeah,
I
I
asked.
think that could be a really good, discussion point for the Hancock County Community Foundation. Could they initially help be that nonprofit arm that helps with those fundraisers? That way, you're ensuring, the money is dedicated towards specific projects, but they are already set up legally as a nonprofit and, can help with donations. But yes, donations, can come in the way of land trusts and things like that. And so there are ways, there are other ways that government entities can work with donors.
Okay. It's good to hear. Should we move on to the open house information? When you guys What do we need to have ready? Will you be bringing a presentation that we'll just put up on the screens? Or what does that look like for the meeting that day?
Yes, so I think the promotions have started to go out for that meeting, correct? The marketing.
No, it was going to go out today after
Oh,
our
okay.
meeting. Yeah.
Okay, great. So yeah, essentially, how we envision that meeting going is initially there would be about a 15 to 20-minute presentation on our progress thus far. And so that could include a recap of the 2023 recreation needs assessment. It can pull from the specific reports that we've already shared with you, like demographics and recreation trends. Of course, provide another overview on most recent stakeholder engagement. And then we saw, and I think it was talked about in our last check-in meeting, but as I mentioned earlier, having a few case studies of regional county park systems that are already established, just so the park board can have an idea on, what is out there, how are those organizations structured, and where are some of the similarities that Hancock County can pull from, especially for best practices. And then I think the second part of that would be more open house, and so we can have storyboards that could be set up around the room, and just have a discussion around those boards with individuals that do attend the meeting on types of facilities and amenities and programming that we're seeing come through as priorities during the stakeholder engagement process in our data analysis. And that just provides another opportunity for individuals to provide input on ideas or what they'd like to see. And then we'll, of course, be taking notes. We've done in the past kind of like a sticker exercise where on those storyboards, individuals can place stickers on what they prioritize. And that's just a visual way to help identify the priorities that come out of that open house.
Travis, would it be beneficial for us to print large county size maps of the whole area, and maybe they could put a sticker where they think a park would be recommended or anything of that nature? Because I can have GIS print one for each side of the room, so to speak, if that would be helpful.
Yeah, that would be extremely helpful. I think that would be a great visual on where parks currently are located in the county, and then where people feel the gaps are, and they can put a sticker on there for a trail connectivity opportunity or a park property opportunity and what they'd like to see developed in the future. That would be really helpful. And there is an opportunity to leave those boards up maybe in your government facility that people could come and still provide input on. I think the one thing we'd have to make sure, and this is after the meeting, so just giving people a chance that may not be able to make the meeting to still provide input in that regard. But we would just need to make sure someone is kind of overseeing that during, your open office hours.
Right. Okay.
So we
That's
can,
great. Are you still there?
as we get toward February 20th.
Okay.
Yep.
So
Sorry if
yeah,
I'm
we'll
choppy
probably
on my
try
end.
to make the maps around the size of the whiteboards. Now, are you bringing whiteboards, or do you need me to locate some?
So we can bring a few of the storyboards that have printed graphics on it for
Okay.
just examples of facilities and amenities. But if there's equipment that you can provide, like easels or any other type, I know there's those large post-it type notes that you can put on the wall that people can write on. If you have any of those, please let me know and feel free to
How many do you think
provide.
we might need? 2 or 3? Or would you recommend 4? I mean, one for each.
I think from our standpoint, we were looking at, maybe a board for facilities, a board for amenities, and a board for programming, types of programming, specifically for the sticker exercises. So that would
Okay, so
essentially
three.
be three. And then if you have a couple maps that you want to put out, probably no more than 5 or 6, I would say.
And should we lay those on, if we printed 4, we could lay them on 4 tables is what I'm looking at. For that, so then we wouldn't need an easel for those. We could just lay them down. Does that make sense?
Sure.
All right.
We know how big.
I would say at least we can kind of measure the table, but probably about 24 by 30s, something like that.
36.
Something like that.
What are we doing to actually get people to show up? That's my question.
The flyers and trying to get just the word out that way.
So where are you putting them?
Social media, on our webpage, anywhere we can send them out in a mass mailer. Yeah. Your thoughts?
I feel like actual face-to-face interaction gets people to show up.
Sure.
Otherwise, they'll ignore it. Because how many emails do you get that you don't really actually thoroughly read?
True.
So that's my thoughts.
Okay. How do we do a face-to-face before the 20th?
Who do we know? Like personally know? Do we know folks that work for the school corporations? Do we know folks that work for community foundation? Or I feel like those people.
I agree. Travis, what do you think? Is there,
I feel like actually getting people to show up is the hardest.
right? Yeah, getting people to show is probably the hardest part.
Especially in the middle of the day.
Yeah, I think any way that you can cross promote the meeting too. So I know there's a quality of place plan meeting coming up next week.
Yes, I'm
That may
attending
be a
that.
good opportunity. Okay. That may be a good opportunity to put the plug in for the county specific park master plan to the individuals that attend that. But yeah, any way that you can cross promote, I agree. Combination of electronic mail and in person is probably going to be important. I don't know, what type of community boards you have, what type of capabilities you have to promote through the schools. A lot of them use essentially e-flyer software now, I think. So that may be a way to do that. I know some municipalities who still send out paper utility bills, put promotions on there. Because that kind of maximizes the mailing option.
9-star.
Yeah, 9-star.
Yeah, if there's any civic organizations that have meetings coming up, maybe a representative can go speak at the civic organizations like a Lions Club or a Kiwanis Club meeting to get the word out in that regard.
Okay. Yeah, we'll have to try to brainstorm and get a list or something and try to attend to invite. We have plenty
And
of
at the
time.
very least, if they're not able to make the meeting, you're still making them aware of the master plan process and the
Mhm.
ability to still provide input in the future.
Okay. You have anything else for Travis?
Impact fees, I'm waiting for guidance, from our attorneys on how to proceed with that. As far as the public hearing goes. So more news, I guess, forthcoming. I might have questions for Travis or for the folks at Baker Tilly, in the near future, but stay tuned.
Sounds good.
And when is our next meeting?
February 20th.
No, duh. I was thinking in more
terms of the master plan itself. Just
We
That
have
will be the meeting. That will be it. Okay.
well, we have a check-in meeting on January 30th. I have on
Okay.
my calendar. So
Okay,
we
that's-
do have at least one more meeting before the public
Okay,
meeting.
great. January 30th. Okay. All right. Well, if we don't have anything else for Travis, we can let you get on with your day. We really appreciate what you do for us.
Yeah, my pleasure, and thank you all for having me on this morning. We'll talk to you all soon.
Okay. Bye, Travis.
Thank you.
Unless you want to stay. I mean, you're welcome to stay on.
It's like, please.
No, I'll hop off and get on to the next thing. But yeah, let me know if you have any other questions or concerns that
Okay.
pop up in the meantime.
All right. Thank you.
Thank
We're
you.
gonna move, yeah, we'll move on to new business and Heather. Heather did a great job on looking over the Indiana Trails program grant, and she sent out a very awesome email. This was a great email. No, it really was, because it showed how much you put your time and thought into your questions.
I said, yeah, I tabbed it and I highlighted. She's like, in Adobe. I was like, no, on paper. I'm not
Yeah.
that fancy.
Yeah. So, do you want to talk a little bit about it?
Sure. So my major questions have to do with the actual construction part because I don't know anything about construction. So are we planning on utilizing the highway department as if they're just, we're just a branch of them? Like, are they our project manager? Are they making the plans?
That would be a conversation to have
Okay.
with Gary Poole, I imagine.
Absolutely.
And a lot of times for grants like this, just based on my experience, putting and this might be where Gary also has information, is putting it out for bid, basically, for somebody else to kind of come up with the design and then, of course, actually constructing it.
So we plan on hiring like an engineering firm to do this stuff.
Quite possibly.
Quite possibly. Some like Holly has a process that you might be able to help us with the roundabouts, because I think that it may be that type of process, but in a larger project than just that. Would you agree with that? There may be a little bit of a similarity there or not?
I most likely, yes. If it's if we're a part of highway, and again, I don't know the numbers off the bat, and I won't speak for highway.
Right.
But the way I understand it, if it's, over a certain dollar amount, it has to be sent out for bid. And then it goes from there based on that. So that's at least been my experience with the roundabouts.
Okay. So for this, but the Indiana Trails program in general, the project has to be a minimum of $125,000 project. We have to have 25,000 in the bank when we apply to say we have our match now. We pay for the project first, and then we apply for reimbursement. And there's quarterly reports to show how our progress is coming along. With that application, we have to have our design plans. So that was where my question came in. Like, is that something that Gary makes, or we hire a firm to do it? I don't know, like the piece of land that we just purchased in Shirley, how much will that cost to pave? Is that $100,000 project, or do we need to buy more land before we try to create $100,000 project? So I don't know. And if we're just paving a footpath to continue on a trail that already exists, can we apply for just that little piece, or do we want to make it bigger before, like the plan bigger before we start tackling it, I guess is my thoughts.
Well, I think we just need to decide what the location is going to be, and maybe we can do that based off of the input from our meeting coming up. And then it'll be the Shirley Railroad, or maybe it'll be a brand new piece of property that we're going to buy for those waterways that they're talking about that they want for the kayaking, things like that.
That would be a big grant. Because we would have the trail along
the property and throughout the property.
It does say that your a land donation or the value of the land can be your match. So if we want to have NiStar donate that giant piece that we want to turn into the waterway access, the value of that can be our matching piece. So we still have to have enough over the course of time to pay for the project before we get reimbursed.
Yeah, and then we have to be finished with the project according to the ITP, right?
And they have
A certain
4
amount of
years.
to get it done.
4 years is the amount of time. But if we wanted, we can do it the way they do subdivisions, where we do one section at a time. So you only have to have this much upfront money for this piece at this time. I thought that had we decided, or is it in discussion, that Shirley Railroad, the goal is to connect the Octagon House to the park in Wilkinson, because it's all along that railroad corridor. Okay, so we would definitely have to have surveyors to split pieces of residential or land that's owned by
Yeah, the
non-government.
acquisition piece
Yes,
would be
yes,
put into
yes,
play. That's
yes.
correct. So you have to first start with the money, figure out where the money's coming with. Then we have to, locate the property that we're going to, then we have to design the property. But I think the environmental takes place before the development, does it not? Or
Yeah,
Before the design.
So before,
not.
in part of the application process, you have to have jurisdictional approval. So Shirley and Wilkinson would have to sign off saying that they're okay with this project. We have to have the engineering and design plans already made.
Mhm.
And then before we can start,
It's
we
the
have to have the
environmental.
yes, but it also historical to make sure that we're not.
Yeah, it's a
breaking
NEPA
rules.
rule, I think is what they call that. I learned that during my solar grant. That you cannot, if you're gonna disturb the ground in any way and that might disturb any type of habitat. Or cultural land. So like if it was some sort of Native American land, we want to make sure that we don't disturb that with this project.
They also talked about, I forget what the act is called, but it's from 1983 because it's the year I was born and I remember, where the U.S. government itself was buying back railroad land, and we could use, if we can find it, we can develop it, and that is a measurable. So they will prioritize your project if you're using that rail land that they've purchased to develop it into a trails.
So I wonder if they just have to basically see that the ownership of the railroad to the United States government via Pennsy, St. Louis, Cincinnati, Cleveland Railway, or the name of the railroad's deed that goes along that path to prove that it was part of that act. Does that make sense?
Is a fair number of the railroad in that area, is it owned by state of Indiana?
It's residential, or private ownership.
I don't know if it was in fee simple or if it was conveyed easement. There was a huge to-do back in, I think it was 1999. There's a statewide claim that went through Boone County called the Firestone. And they had a list of all these parcels, and some went fee simple and some went easement. I have the list, but I don't know if, we'd have to do research probably on that particular piece
What they
to identify if it's part of that type of 1983 act.
So these were the measurables. These put you at a priority on the list. It was the length. They will give you preference to projects based on length. Projects will be evaluated in comparison to the field of applicants. Visionary trail. They will give you preference to projects that further completion of the visionary and or potential trails, which is these right here that the state decided. Connections and extensions preference will be given to projects that connect or extend existing trails. Connections to nature preference will be given to projects that connect users to nature features in the community. Photographs and narrative descriptions and other supporting documentation directly related to the natural features will be provided to qualify for this measurable. The deficit counties, which we are a deficit county because they don't think we have enough trails, and that's another map that's in here.
Excellent.
We don't have enough. And then land secured with existing state protections. That's this.
During the past 25 years, DNR has invested millions of dollars in acquiring and protecting trail corridors throughout the state for future trail development. To realize the potential of these investments, ITP will give preference to projects that make use of the previously acquired trail corridor protected by state-held conservation easement or deed restriction. This only applies to land purchased or preserved for a specific trail, not recreation or trails in general. So it looks like they're state easements, like you were saying.
Okay.
So like just doing a search on what the state of Indiana Department of Natural Resources owns
Mhm.
is pretty interesting because it's exclusively, it looks like railroad bed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if it's in spots where we need it, but
Right.
that's kind of exciting.
That's really close to the one I was looking at.
That's
Except, yeah.
wrong side of
Yes,
Wilson.
sorry, you
can't see, Holly.
So close. It's on the other side of Wilkinson, but on the same path that I was looking at for the Shirley Railroad bed we purchased.
Right.
Okay, that might be an interesting thing just to look at that,
Yeah, very much so.
you know, and kind of see, all right, what would be, those are kind of low hanging fruit then.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like it.
And I know something that comes up with like highway projects, is they want, if you're gonna do pedestrian facilities, to have like clear endpoints and like places for, like, rather than just stopping it, like try to stop it at an intersection or, you know, somewhere where it hooks onto somebody else's trail, or like somewhere where it makes sense to hook the trail onto. So that might be something to look into also, is where like the clear, I think the term they use is a clear terminus,
Right.
for the trail. So where's a good point? Is it a roadway where we're supposed to put sharrows on it anyway? Things like that.
Mhm.
Anyway, just something to think about. And that way you're not like ending the trail, like, oh, I'm at the end of the trail.
Yeah,
and blocking the woods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my worry is with this grant, if we are filing for it as Parks Board, are there any other, like, would Gary's office be also doing his own grant for a different area? And we want to make sure that we don't, we're going to have that conversation. So we're not,
It went by who was applying for it. So we would be applying for it as
okay,
the Hancock County government, because it could be a government or a nonprofit.
okay. Which highway falls under that too. So I
Right.
don't know that we can have two applications, is what I'm saying.
So we just need to make sure that they're not also applying for it.
Yeah.
And I wonder if Mary would keep record of, because I know she has a binder on.
Yep.
The Pensy Trail grant.
Right.
So I wonder if she would keep record of what grants.
We should surely ask her.
Yeah.
That would be wonderful.
I can do that.
Okay.
So that's
So-
what I learned, guys.
Yeah, it's
That's
great. I just love it. Mr. Sarowski, who sold us the railroad bed, we promised him that once we had a trail laid, that within 6 months we would give him a legacy either bench or monument for that area under his family name. So we want to make sure that if we do pick that as our project, now my question is, just because we own that 3-acre tract, the idea is to continue on, right? So would we want to,
Railroad Street, which ends, by the way, in Shirley and does not connect to Wilkinson. So we would be officially connecting Shirley and Wilkinson.
right? And would we want to put that in the design? Mm-hmm.
We need to name it. We need to come up with a cool, catchy.
Well, and that could be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, so somehow Wilkinson, Shirley, something or other, Octagon Trail, I don't know.
Wilkinson and Shirley used to be connected by the railroad.
They had a weird 4-cross switch. I think it was the only one in the United States, and it was humongous. So like a caboose or whatever type of train car would park on it, and they literally were able to turn it.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that was either the first one in the United States or the only one. I don't recall. I'd have to ask.
They most certainly
Bridget.
have it.
Right?
If you've ever watched Thomas the Train.
So
I forget what I told you in that, what the park in Wilkinson was called.
Oh, did you have it on here? Weir Cook. It's Weir
Yeah,
Cook. Weir Cook, he grew up there, and that's Weir Cook International Airport is what our international airport was named after until they changed the name.
Didn't know it was.
Yeah, and they changed it.
Okay.
That's why we were trying to see if they wanted the airplane, right?
It's for inside only.
It is for inside. No, we would have to cover it, and we're not going to go to that expense.
Okay,
Yeah.
so, all right, and there is a trails layer, a planned trail improvement layer and a pedestrian facilities layer under our comprehensive plan dropdown on
Mhm.
Beacon.
Okay.
If you look at the layers, don't pay attention to where exactly that trail is. It is not lined up like it should be. I should move that. So that should line up over the railroad bed.
Right.
I thought right after our piece, there's a piece that was owned by a business. I would
Mhm.
think that
Yeah.
they would be easy to talk them into maybe putting the trail in themselves and us not even having to buy it and say, hey, would you be interested in
Mhm.
connecting this?
That could be a match.
Yeah.
Right?
It could be a match.
That would be a match if
Yeah.
they did that.
Yeah.
But doesn't Lily own their own? And they did that for us to connect us. Is that not how that worked out?
I do not have that
Right.
answer. This is the first time I've heard that.
Right around in front of what used to be Lily is now Labcorp or whatever.
Yeah, I didn't know that, but I could reach out to Ellen and get the
I
details.
thought that they continued to own that piece in front of their building.
That
Probably
would
do.
be great. And okay, that might be a good contact to make in general, just like for like local
Mhm.
economic development purposes. And I wonder if we can't actually get a partner over at HEDC to help us out with that.
So my question is on that side, on the Octagon House side, what is there an actual trail that leads to the piece we bought, or do we need to talk to them about? Because I know there's a cultural trail that goes around the park, but does it actually lead to the piece that we purchased? Can we connect it?
It goes very, very close. Currently,
Okay.
it ends at the drive to the Octagon House.
Okay.
So the Octagon House does own a little bit more area before it hits our piece, but it is awfully close. So it's a matter of, let's see,
Just creating a
Can we
job.
vacate this alley? That would make me very happy. It would make the map pretty.
Oh, we just have to take it in front of the circuit court, right?
No, the commissioners.
Oh, the commissioners just do it?
I mean, it is public right of way already. So I think we could do our own, we could figure that out. Okay, so it's a matter of 450 feet to connect the existing trail to at least the right of way area that we could develop in anyway. Yeah, okay, I see what you mean. There is a little railroad street, kind of does a jog
Mhm.
right in there. And that's something we could do a crossing over or something too.
Okay.
So, yep, we can work
Okay.
with that. And then
mean-
past that, that's unimproved right of way.
That's what I meant. That
He wants to vacate that, and I
Yeah.
like that idea as well, but
I think we can work with that.
yeah.
It's all going to be pedestrian anyway, so it's.
Yeah.
I just mean to correct the
Huge.
flat.
No, you're right on.
Uh-huh. All right. I
Shirley
see.
has a million of those
They do.
And-
unimproved public right of ways that drive me.
And do you believe that this piece is our low hanging fruit for our first
Well,
grant? I mean,
I
Are-
think within Shirley and county jurisdiction, it would be fairly easy to do. I don't have a great contact at Wilkinson. And you'll notice, let's see, where's
Well,
the
Nicole
trail?
Byerly is the town mayor. We
Okay.
decided.
And is she
Nice.
the clerk treasurer?
No,
Or-
she's my office
Oh.
mate.
There we go. Local contact. All right.
Yeah, and she's all about tips and abatements and all those things that she does upstairs.
Okay.
She actually will have great contacts for all of the local municipalities
Perfect.
because she distributes taxes.
Okay.
But I say that because she lives there, and if I have any Wilkinson questions, I ask her.
All right. Well, I noticed they always post their town board meetings on the sign in
Uh-huh.
in the town hall window. So at least we always know like when
Yeah.
the next upcoming meeting is. If we just need
Yeah,
to.
I think
make sure we have
their
attendance.
contact is like an email address for the whole.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they just have like a clerk treasurer and a
Excellent.
permit person for like pools and stuff.
Okay, that's where I'm a little bit concerned that we probably need to bring them in and make
Okay.
sure they're okay with like where we're ending the trail and make sure that they're very cool with the plan. So that's where I'm just foreseeing, but maybe that's a matter of doing a phase 1 and a phase 2. Because if you
Right.
notice, 1125 East is a road that kind of bisects the project, and it is supposed to have, I believe, a sharrow on it, and it might be a good point to say, okay, we're going to finish it to here in phase 1, and then we're going to pick up on the rest of it in phase 2. I guess, let's see, I'm not sure if there's a good alternate.
My
If you want-
concern is
you
though,
don't-
our
don't-
eastern
Yeah.
neighbors in the county are not huge fans of trails. They feel like we're gonna like bus in all the criminals from the downtown to their town
They
on the
just need to be
trail.
educated.
Um, so I worry that people aren't gonna be very receptive and excited about it. That's my concern.
It's a fine line there.
I mean,
But I talked to her and we talk about like her kids don't have, a place to ride their bike
Yeah.
because the roads, like there's,
I don't want my-
four
I
main
wouldn't want my kids out
thoroughfares
there.
in the town. And that's
In
where
the
you kids have
streets.
to ride your bike.
this would be, I mean, hopefully attitudes are changing a little bit. Like I hear people in my neighborhood, and I live up that way too. They drive to the Pennsy to walk the Pennsy, and it
I
seems
do.
like, yeah.
I grew up in a big city. That's what you had to do. You didn't have anywhere else to go
Mm-hmm.
to roller skate or ride your bike or walk your dog. Like you didn't have
Yeah.
farmland to go walk through or
But it would be great to have like the Pennsy as or another trail nearby that would either be much more in the neighborhood or that you could even just walk to. So yeah, that would be.
I drive my dogs to a trail to walk them because I'm not going to walk them across US 40 to get to a trail.
Yeah, and here's another thing. Even if we could just figure out a way to connect this to 700 North in a good way, where it after it crosses North 1125 East, at least then it's like a chance for a multi-use trail or something to go along a county road as it enters Wilkinson and intersects with their sidewalk system. Even something like that would be a good step. Yep. All right. I think that gives us a lot of spot.
It does. I think it's
Mhm.
great. I think it's great, but we just need to decide what we want to do, what we want to apply for.
So do you have a plan for the conservatory grants? Do you have like a project in mind or you're just trying to?
I'm hoping that we can use that for the for the 53 acre tract that 9 Star owns.
Does 9 Star know we want that?
I've been trying to reach out to them several times, so
Okay.
Gary's
just still need to have that meeting. Yeah. All right.
So that was my thought on what I thought we should do this for, but I wasn't sure that we were all on the same page.
You like the idea of the Shirley
Yes, because I figured it was going to be a less expensive project.
and smaller, so we can wrap our head around.
Right. If we just want to do that one piece we already own to
Right.
start out, I don't see anything wrong with that. The grant has an application availability every 2 years. And this year is the year and it's in the fall, but they haven't given an exact date yet.
So we're gonna skip along if we're
skip along.
okay. Let's go to item 6.2. I wanted to talk about the appointment of a new member by this IC code. I'm still waiting on legal counsel to advise if we can appoint through one of our elected officials. There is no need for political affiliation for that. So the IC code is here. I'd really love to just reach out once I get the go-ahead. If you guys agree to that, it's a great idea to do that. That way we'll have a quorum. And if anyone needs to recuse themselves from a vote, we would still have a quorum for a while.
Is that portion of IC code reflected in our most recent amendment to the ordinance, our local ordinance?
I believe it is. I don't have it with me. I don't believe all my ordinances are on my desk because I've been going through them. But I believe it is. And if it's not, we will have to, we can amend it, but we can probably still go ahead and do that because it is an IC code and then add it into the amendment later?
I believe the IC code references everything that is possible, but then it's
You
up
have
to
it?
our local ordinance to.
Oh, great. So it's going to be. Oh, this isn't the actual copy, is it?
That's what you gave me, I believe.
Okay. Let me pull it up.
Sure.
I'm going to pull it up. So hang on there, Holly. I'm going to pull up the. All right. Let me just get rid of these. I don't want to click you out. Yes, close tabs.
So do we just ask the dot if we can put trails on it?
It looks like it's on.
Mm-mm.
I mean, you were saying that that's part of that.
Yeah, by program or
Mhm.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. I thought it was in here, but it was kind of in a weird spot. Here it is. Let me highlight this. Right here. Other elected county official to appoint one member to the county board that is in addition to the members provided. It just cannot be.
So can you ask Deb?
I need to get legal to tell me I can do this.
And it doesn't have to be the auditors, right?
No, it doesn't, but I just felt like she's more available at the meetings. She's either a VOC, she's at a council, or can we vote, have her vote here at a park board meeting to elect. I'm not sure how that election works. Does that make sense? I'm
Yeah.
not.
Appointment.
Yeah, well, it says elect.
An elected official.
Oh, you're right. Okay,
That's
to a point. You're right. So that was kind of my question is, how do we make that happen once she says, yeah, I'll do that, or I won't do that. So, all right. Okay.
Cool.
So then the last thing on I think we're done unless I wanted to remind you guys, but we already discussed the community presentation.
Yeah.
So I plan on attending that.
I'm looking at, yeah, sorry, I'm still on the trails. Just one more quick thing that is just
Absolutely.
so cool.
Yeah.
Is if we can start connecting the rural villages, and then that's my little planning term because most of them are in a rural village overlay. And of course, towns of Wilkinson and Shirley. But if you look at the way that railroad, because development occurred so frequently on a railroad track, if you look at the population centers that connect, and once again, population centers, I know they're really tiny towns, but after there's meaning the rural villages, but after you go from Shirley, which is on the Henry County line, to Wilkinson, after that railroad track goes straight to Willow Branch. After that, it goes straight to Maxwell.
I love it.
You're on State Road 9, just barely north of Greenfield at that point. How exciting is that? And then how far is it into Henry County before it hooks up with, I don't know, what's the trail?
It's
What's the next
Rails
regional
to
trail?
Trails, isn't it? The Rails to Trails off of Highway 3.
Is that the Cardinal Green?
Well, it attaches into the Cardinal
I
Green.
know that's probably a ways off.
That's off of I-35 or Highway 35.
36 or 35.
But I think 35.
Okay. I know I've crossed. Okay, we'll have to look into that, but that is so
it
exciting
goes to
just within
Richmond.
our own county even. Like,
Yeah.
that's really fast to be connecting, several areas and potentially bring some new life into those areas.
Here is the central region.
Like the guy
Hey,
that came
I'm gonna jump in here real quick. I just got notification. We only have about 5 minutes left. So I don't know if there's some stuff we want to kind of finish up and then move on or.
Okay, I'll get off my soapbox.
No,
Holly.
I think we were good. I was just going to remind the HWC Engineering is hosting that community presentation at Quality of Place. So I plan on attending, and I believe that someone else from.
It's on my calendar.
So I believe that if Heather wants to join, then we won't have a quorum, right? So that's what our plan, I guess, is going to be. That's okay?
Yeah.
And then back to the rural village, there's a map here that I'm showing in regards to the Indiana Trails 2024, and it kind of shows that a little bit of future trail use that they're looking at right across here from the state of Indiana.
Okay, so either up through Anderson to Delaware County or Muncie, or across, oh, I see, there's Shirley. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong side.
No, you're fine.
So we're right here in Hancock. So they're
Mhm.
looking at all the way over to Newcastle. It looks
Mhm.
like maybe following State Road 38 eventually, or is that?
Is it 38? It is 38. 38 and 32 go through there.
Yeah. And then I know, okay, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, 32 at 38. It's kind of wonky in that area,
So-
but
Is this a preferred route then?
yes. Yes, this came from DNR.
Hancock County. Okay, yeah, we're up on that one. That's awesome.
And then I drew in this trail that goes all the way down here for a bike trail.
Okay.
So the state DNR has that image at the charrette.
And then, excellent. And then I see that if it's a blue segment, it means it's a planned trail. If it's yellow, it's open. So
Mhm.
I see once you cross into Henry County
Mhm.
that there is a segment that is planned.
And it looks like is it south of Shirley, or do you think it's going into Shirley?
Shirley's on the county line. So are they talking about their park, like working into Shirley's park?
I don't
Because
know.
there's
It'd be good
the-
to know.
There's the railroad track in Shirley's park. Right there.
On Shirley's website, they show a cultural trail that goes kind of into their town. I don't have that map on me, but I looked it up when researching.
Well, this park is where the pickleball court is. Is that the pickleball court on there already?
Well,
That's cool.
it might be, yeah, there's a court there, so.
But they actually, there's a trail that we show signage on that goes through right by Railroad Road and right next to our trail. So
I very much want to go out there and walk when the weather's nicer.
Yeah.
anyway,
would
should we go ahead and make a motion to adjourn?
Yes,
Okay, so Heather,
I'll make the motion.
I second.
okay, thank you for doing all that and get some rest. All right, Holly. We'll go ahead and shut her down. Unless you need something.
I would have totally.
Oh, she's-
been there for Thursday if
Mhm.
it wasn't snowing while I was reading all this.
Okay.